A janitor stayed late to clean a mess and discovered a life-changing letter. Sometimes fate hides in the smallest corners, and sometimes a forgotten letter can change the course of an entire life. If you love emotional and thrilling stories, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay with me till the end. You don't want to miss what happens, and tell me, from which country are you watching my video, as I can see where my video is being watched. The night was quiet, and the rain outside tapped gently on the windows of Westbridge High School. Most of the students and teachers had already gone home, leaving the building empty except for one man, George Miller, the school janitor. In his late 50s, with graying hair and a gentle smile, George wasn't just a janitor. He was a silent guardian of the school, someone who took care of the building like it was his own home. He knew every hallway, every squeaky door, and every creaky step. That Thursday evening, George was just about to leave when a voice came crackling through his walkie-talkie. "Mr. Miller, there's a mess in room 204. Someone spilled paint during the art exhibition prep. Sorry to ask, but could you handle it?" George sighed but replied kindly, "No problem. I'll take care of it." Room 204 was on the third floor. The hallway was dark, and his footsteps echoed as he walked. When he opened the door, a strong smell of paint hit him. Brushes were scattered everywhere, and a red stain of spilled paint stretched across the floor like a small river. He rolled up his sleeves and got to work. As George knelt down, scrubbing the floor, something caught his eye. It was a small envelope, half tucked under a desk. It looked old, yellowed at the edges, sealed tightly. Curiosity got the better of him. He picked it up and noticed the words written in neat handwriting. "To the one who truly cares." He turned it over, hesitated for a moment, then slowly opened it. The letter inside was written in blue ink, and though a few words were smudged with age, most of it was readable. It began, "If you found this letter, it means you stayed behind. You chose to clean, to care, when no one else did. That means something to me. My name is Jonathan Hartley, and this school saved my life. Years ago, I was a troubled student in this very room. People gave up on me, but one janitor didn't. He talked to me when no one else would. He showed me kindness when all I knew was anger. Because of him, I found purpose." George's hands trembled slightly as he continued reading. He remembered Jonathan, a quiet, angry teen from nearly 30 years ago, who always sat at the back of the class, always alone. George had talked to him sometimes, nothing much, just words of kindness and patience. The letter went on, "I now own Hartley Industries. Maybe you've heard of it. Maybe not. Doesn't matter. What matters is that I've hidden a gift for someone who, like that janitor, still chooses to care. Go to locker 119 in the basement, use the code 1947, my birth year. If it's still there, it's yours." George couldn't believe what he was reading. It felt like something out of a movie. He read the letter twice more to make sure it wasn't some kind of prank, but something deep inside told him it was real. He quickly made his way to the basement. The school's basement was dark and dusty, filled with broken chairs, old yearbooks, and forgotten supplies. Locker 119 stood in a quiet corner, slightly rusted but still intact. With shaky fingers, he turned the dial. 1, 9, 4, 7. The lock clicked. Inside was a small wooden box and a note. The note said, "To the one who opened this locker, you've proven that care still exists. This box contains the deed to a small house and a bank account in your name. The key is inside. I set this up years ago. If no one finds it in 40 years, it goes to charity. But if someone does, you deserve it." George opened the box. Inside was a key, a folded deed with his name already printed on it, somehow prepared, years ago, and a bank slip. His eyes widened. The balance written on it, $250,000. He sank to the floor, overwhelmed. All he had ever done was his job, quietly, without asking for anything. And now, all of that kindness had circled back to him in the most unbelievable way. The next morning, George went to the bank to check if the slip was real. The woman at the desk confirmed everything. The account had been waiting. untouched, for decades, and it was now legally his. News spread quickly through the school. The janitor who had stayed late had discovered a fortune meant for someone good-hearted. The principal called an assembly and asked George to share his story. He didn't want the attention, but he stood in front of the students and said simply, "Kindness doesn't need an audience. It just needs to be real." Students clapped. Teachers had tears in their eyes, but the surprises weren't over yet. A few days later, a man in a suit came to visit George. He introduced himself as Daniel Hartley, Jonathan's son. "My father passed away last year," Daniel said. "But he told me about the letter, about what he had hidden. He said if anyone found it, that person would be part of our family's legacy." Daniel handed George another envelope. Inside was an offer to become a permanent part of Hartley Industries' charitable foundation. They wanted him to help design community centers, cleanup programs, and school support services. George was speechless. "You helped save my father's life," Daniel said softly. "Now, we'd like you to help save others." George accepted the offer. He left the school with love in his heart and tears in his eyes. He had given so much to a world that barely noticed, but the world had noticed. Quietly, patiently, and when the time was right, it gave back more than he could have imagined. Years later, people would still tell the story of the janitor who stayed late one rainy night and discovered a letter that changed everything. Not because he was looking for a reward, but because he had chosen to care.